From the Packard plant, this is part. Alright, YouTube, still with Neil from the Packard plant. This is part 3. This was not the original part. I'm not sure what this building was right here.
This building was built in 35.
35.
And it was acquired by the museum group when they started the museum. And mostly what you have on this side is post-war automobiles.
Post-war.
There are a few others.
So we'll probably get an idea of what the last Packard that was built here.
Now this is a 32 club sedan. Typical automobile that they would have been selling. This is the one next to it.
Hold on here, I'm going to get a little bit closer look at this here. These white rims, I don't think I've seen those white part of the tires there.
Yeah, you don't see those very often.
What's that called, those white?
Well, actually, the rubber is naturally that color.
Oh, rubber's naturally white. Okay, yeah, you don't see, I don't think I've seen one of those in here.
Authentic antique cars that are pre-World War I, the entire tire would be white. But they started dyeing them, literally dyeing them black.
All right.
Now this is a 1936, and you'll notice this is less than $1,400.
$1,400.
Now this was an attempt because during the Depression, sales went down severely.
Yeah, yeah.
Packard decided they were going to come up with an economy car, and this is it. It's called a 120. Sales went wild, because people who'd always wanted a Packard could now afford one.
Yeah, and that I'm not surprised by, because I was watching a documentary the other day that mentioned that they went to some cheaper models around that general period of time. I didn't know which cars, of course, but any special kind of traits about this car? Was the quality still really high from this?
What's that?
Was the quality considered still really high from this, even though they went to a cheaper?
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing behind the Packard automobiles, is that they were drop dead reliable, and the quality was terrific. And they maintained that even though they went to this lower cost, because it was a mass-produced body.
Mass-produced body. Yeah.
They reduced the cost considerably. Now this is a one-off.
Hold on here, we'll go to the front here. Start here. This is a one-off.
This is a Studebaker prototype, 1947. Absolutely gorgeous automobile.
Oh yeah, what color is this?
It's a maroon.
Maroon.
Kind of hard to see in here.
Yeah.
But it's totally impractical because of the plexiglass top. But that was
plexiglass
the whole thing.
top.
They learned how to manufacture with plexiglass during World War II.
Yeah, because most people, I don't think of plexiglass until really more of a modern thing.
Yeah, but they were doing it back then. And the big thing during World War II, of course, were the ball turrets in the airplanes.
So was this an economy car too?
Not particularly. This was a design study. And you see some elements of Studebaker in it. This fender design is very similar to the Starlight coupes, and there's other elements here that you see picked up in the production cars, but it was strictly a design study. Now this is another custom bodied car. It's a 1941. And again, somebody bought a chassis and a motor and shipped it to LeBaron.
LeBaron.
This is a LeBaron bodied car.
Where's LeBaron at, or where's?
I think LeBaron is on the East Coast.
East Coast.
Don't quote me.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure.
And when?
But LeBaron was, a custom body maker, and they got absorbed into Chrysler, just like Fisher was a custom body maker that got absorbed into General Motors.
And this was a 41 Packard LeBaron.
This has been one of the last pre-World War II automobiles.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that definitely. And the automobile industry ceased to almost nothing or nothing during the war years.
Correct. They switched over and built tanks and airplanes and trucks. Studebaker built almost all trucks. Ford built almost all airplanes.
This is what here, what, a 37?
This is a 37, but this is an interesting automobile. Because everybody now is going on and on about their hybrids and their dual fuels and all that. This is a 1937 dual fuel car.
Dual fuel car.
Yeah.
And what kind of fuel did that dual fuel take back then, or what was?
Well, it ran on natural gas or gasoline.
So a Packard 12 Torrance, and they had natural gas or gasoline. Yeah, so before people had obviously heard of hybrids, or most people that are alive, well, this was a fuel hybrid right here.
Well, and you can see the special tank back here.
All right, we'll get around. Special tank.
Now there's the tank for your other fuel.
So which one was it?
That's the natural gas tank. Gasoline would have been in conventional tank up between the seats.
Between the seats, okay. Natural gas, and you know, I have heard people, you know, mention murmurs about trying to use natural gas again for cars, but I don't really know if it'll happen or how practical it is, or from a cost standpoint, if it's really.
It's one of those things that's difficult to retrofit a car. If you manufacture it, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
The biggest problem right now is availability of fuel.
Yeah, that's true.
In the Dayton area, there are only 8 or 10 places where you can get the fuel.
Yeah, I think there's one in Fairborn, I think, off of 444, I think. And this car right here, what's this?
This is a post-war Packard, and this car has got an interesting story. This is the only one like it. Packard dealer had this vehicle sitting in the back lot. It was damaged. It had been in an accident. And he needed a lightweight truck to haul parts and move things around. So what they did was they pulled this one in, and you come around to the back, you'll see how they turned it into an El Camino-like configuration.
And what year was this car?
It's a 51 or 52.
So one of the last ones made. Like an El Camino type of.
Yeah, and this one was made, you know, at the dealer's body shop. Dealer's body shop,
which would not have been in Detroit.
Oh no, this car was from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
And but you know, the dealer had a body shop capable of doing this work, and the car was sitting on their lot.
Was there many cars that were not made in Detroit that were not made in Detroit that were like this, that were made at a dealership?
No. This car originally was manufactured in Detroit.
Okay.
But it was altered at a dealership.
Altered. Yeah, and just look at this steel on here. You just don't find this type of craftsmanship on vehicles anymore. Just, you know, solid steel. You just do not find this.
Be common to sit on the fender, or sit on the hood, sit on the roof of a car. You don't dare do that today.
We'll do the library and that stuff last. Just do the cars, finish up the cars, and then.
That's from the Packard plant.
This plaque.
That big stone piece.
Big stone piece right here. Because I believe it opened in 06 or 07. I think, from what I've heard, the Packard plant up there. And this next vehicle, going on here.
47 or 8.
Oh, Canada. This looks like this was in Canada.
And this is similar to the Derringer car, or Dillon.
Dillinger or Derringer car.
Yeah, this is similar to Capone's car.
Capone's car.
Similar vintage.
Ohio historical vehicle.
Now there's two things over here I'd like to point out.
Okay. And we'll do more of the car tours.
Yeah, the last of the car. One of the things that Packard did was a lot of military engines. There are Marine engines here, there are airplane engines. Mounted on this stand to your right is a Liberty engine.
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah, that was the airplane engine in World War I.
World War I Liberty engine. And what's this?
That is an early jet. It's a Marine jet.
Marine jet, 1940s Packard J47 turbojet.
Mm-hmm. This motor is perhaps the most famous.
Oh, this one right here. What's okay?
Well,
Packard V1650 Merlin.
Rolls-Royce developed this engine originally.
Rolls-Royce.
And they licensed Packard to make it, with the provision that the Packard could make improvements. And before the war was over, pilots would ask, when they go out to their P-51 Mustang, said, is it a Rolls or a Packard? Because they wanted to know, because this engine would outperform the Rolls.
Rolls-Royce.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting right here. Hold on here.
It's not quite complete. This monster,
okay,
is the motor that was in a PT boat. There were three of these guys.
Three of these
in a PT boat.
Yeah, because I see PT boat right here is a
that's a good
picture of that right there. Packard powers the water wasps. More, just got two more engines here, I believe.
These are small marine
engines.
Now, this is the oldest car in the collection.
Okay.
This is a 1903.
1903.
And this is called the Gray Wolf.
Gray Wolf. Okay, here's a little article about it.
This was a purpose-built automobile for racing, and it held the world land speed record at 78 miles an hour.
78 miles an hour.
Which sounds ridiculous to people now who commute to work at that speed.
Oh, yeah.
But in 1903, 78 mile an hour was flat flying.
And this is the oldest Packard?
This is the oldest one here, and like I said, this is a custom-built vehicle.
You know where this one was made at?
They made this at the factory.
Because I think I heard so actually the factory would have been in Warren at the time because it didn't open in...
Right. So this would probably have been built in Warren or in a special shop.
Yeah, because I think it would have been 1906 or 07, I think is when I've read the Packard plant moved to Detroit. Because I guess it's on the lower east side of Detroit, on the southeast side of the city. From what I've heard, it's on the southeast side of the city.
But you can imagine getting in this thing and running 78 mile an hour down the sands at Daytona.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the Gray Wolf Racer. Mm-hmm. Packard's oldest
24
car.
Horsepower.
24 horsepower.
A lot of the people watching your video will have a lawnmower with more horsepower.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, this is an early 50s.
Early 50s.
This is a
Caribbean.
Caribbean convertible.
Caribbean convertible. It's very nice two-tone color seats. That kind of mountain or forest green with the white. That's very interesting.
The interior matches the exterior. Very nicely done.
Oh yeah. It's a very beautiful car right here. This is the Caribbean, and it's a very unique car. It's probably not what most people would consider probably the most flashy car, but it's got some very unique tones with the green and the white.
The thing about this car is that you got to think about what it was competing against. It was up against Thunderbird. It was up against the early Corvettes, and this would outrun both.
Oh yeah.
Now this is a similar vintage automobile. This is a Clipper.
Clipper, okay. Well,
but this is the four-door family sedan.
Four-door family sedan.
You know, this one was made in large numbers and was very popular automobile.
Clipper Deluxe. And do you know what year this was approximately?
This would have been early 50s.
Early
this would have been
50s.
53 or 4.
50. So this was getting close to the last of the models.
Yeah,
then.
we're coming up to the last ones here in a little bit. Now this one again is a pre-war coupe.
Pre-war coupe, okay.
I think it's a 36 or 7.
36 or 7. Michigan historical.
37.
37.
Very elegant automobile.
Very elegant, yeah. Does it say a name on it or anywhere?
No.
Now this is a very nice color, this kind of pinkish.
Here you've got a later version of the Caribbean convertibles. This is a 55, and I think that one is a 57.
Okay.
But again, these are the Caribbean convertibles. You saw the one down on this end. It was one of the first ones.
First ones.
Well, these are some of the last ones.
Some of the last ones. It's a very unique two-tone color seating. Once again, obviously the white with the pink. Obviously the seating, I guess, was never restored, but
no, this is all original.
All original. Yeah, and you could tell the seat definitely had its wear on it. But do you see this?
Well, look at the paint. I mean,
this paint is beautiful. The two-tone paint with this hot pink or pink, whatever you want to call it, and this two-tone paint is just simply gorgeous. Right here, and kind of get a more view of the back right here. So 1955 Ohio. Kind of get a little bit closer look at the dash right here. Looks like this one might have had 3,800 miles, or well, I don't know, for
probably 38,000.
38,000, yeah.
What's neat, Ed? Do you need the bankroll, or I need $6? No, I'm bankroll. Okay. Now this one is slightly later.
Slightly later.
And notice. You get up
two-tone again, looks like kind of a lavender blue
with charcoal and white.
Charcoal and white.
You got a push-button transmission.
Push-button transmission, which I guess in today's terms is automatic, or
it is an automatic, but push buttons developed by Packard and Chrysler, and Chrysler used them up through the 60s until there were enough people squawking about it that said you can't do that because people aren't used to it.
Oh, okay.
Large V8.
Large V8.
Pretty quick.
Oh, this right here, V8.
Yeah, both of these cars.
Okay.
Now this is again post-war.
Post-war.
Woody.
Woody.
And the reason that they used all this wood is because steel was so hard to get.
Steel. Oh, during the war?
After the war.
After the war.
There was so much demand for everything, refrigerators and stoves and cars and trucks and everything else. The steel was hard to come by. The wood you could get. So they built these station wagons with the wood sides, and it wasn't decorative.
Decorative, yeah, I can see that.
That was structural.
It's definitely very interesting. Yeah, and of course this was before, you know, people had, you know, any kind of fancy kitchen, or a gourmet kitchen was never even heard of back then too, for, you know, appliances.
Well, what
you back
had
then.
With the guys having been gone to war for 4 or 5 years, there was all that pent-up demand.
Pent-up demand.
And the other example I use is my grandfather worked in a steel mill. He worked 8 hours on and 8 hours off.
What area was he from?
He was Northern Indiana.
Northern Indiana. Gary?
No, he was further south, but 8 hours on, 8 hours off for the duration of the war. I mean, that's all he did was work and sleep for 4 years. Now, this car is a prototype. It's the only one.
58.
This is essentially a Studebaker Hawk with this custom front end labeled Packard. But this is a convertible. And Studebaker did not make a convertible version of this car. So this one is a custom-made vehicle, and it's the only one.
Got it. Nice blue color on this. Seats original. Blue steering wheel. Now this car right here, what's...
That is a race car from the Pan America race in Mexico.
Pan America race in Mexico.
And it has been back. You can see all the stickers on it for the revival races. But now this car, they ran from Juarez to Mexico City.
Juarez to Mexico City.
Which is, what, 12 or 1,500 miles?
Yeah, Juarez, which is on the other side of El Paso.
Correct.
Texas.
And Juarez and Mexico City at the time being the only two civilized places. Everything else was wild country in between.
Yeah, and unfortunately now, you know, with the border towns, they're very dangerous. This 1941 custom Super 8, 41 convertible.
And this one again, you look here at the doors. The way these
doors
are cut down.
Yeah.
This is a Darren custom body.
Darren custom body.
And by this time, he was in Hollywood. So most of these cars were built for somebody in Hollywood that had the money to pay to get a car customized.
You see, definitely his seats are original. You can see the driver's seat definitely. He's got the wear on it right there.
Old leather there.
Old leather. Yeah, you don't see this around. This is Ohio vehicle.
And this is, again, this is a 56 or 57 Caribbean, but it's a two-door hardtop.
Two-door hardtop.
And it has a vinyl top.
Vinyl top.
That's one of the first. Well, there were two periods of vinyl tops. One was in the 30s, and now they come back in the 50s.
Looks like a war car right here.
Yes, this would have been a vehicle. This would be typical of the vehicles that were used during the war. They were all painted army green. And
did it have a year date on it, or?
Well, this would be probably a 41.
Reverend or Dr. Robert Potts South Delmar.
Yeah, I think
that's it. That's in East Dayton.
I think that's who gave the car.
Yeah.
But this in fact may be a reproduction rather than an original war vehicle.
See some war blanket on the back of it right here. Might have been a reproduction, okay.
Yeah, may have been.
Here's the last car in the tour right here.
You'll see on this one,
Packard, 1948 Packard Henny Lando three-way hearse.
Right, a Henny was another one of those coach builders, and what they specialized in were ambulances, hearse, flower cars, and those kind of things.
Was this a popular funeral vehicle back in those days? This
well, yeah, you know, right now, of course, from about this period on, you know, a lot of people had Cadillacs. They wanted a very nice automobile for the hearse. And this is one of the nicest ones you could get.
So this is an old style, yeah, an old style hearse.
Yes, indeed.
I never even know what one of these ever looked like, the old style ones that you can see get a close up of the back of it here. There's some of the.
It had a 1947 Cadillac, and it was very similar to this. And the reason he had it was because he was a drummer. He could haul all of his kit with him. You know, it was bigger, obviously bigger than a station wagon, a traditional station wagon.
All right, that's it for this one.